How do you fix pretty much any problem in life? You're already doing the single most important thing, which is reaching out for help. Imagine yourself trapped at the bottom of a well. You've tried clawing your way out and you think you've run out of options. So you start yelling for help and, surprise, someone actually shows up. There are a number of ways they can solve your problem. They can solve it directly. They can lower down a rope and pull you up. If you have money problems, they just pay the bill. If you need a relationship, they're like, hey, I like you like me, let's go. If you need to ride to the airport, they pick you up and drop you off on time. Or they can teach you about ways to solve the problem yourself. Back to the well, they could tell you, hey, if you dig a little bit and open a trap door in this particular spot, there's a grappling hook you can use to get up here. If you have money problems, they can teach you about government and community assistance programs that you might not have known about. If you're lonely and you need friends, they can teach you, step by step, how to put yourself out there and expand your social circle. And if it's truly unfixable, they can teach you how to deal with it. Back to the well, they could tell you, hey, listen, you're stuck down there, but if you go through that tunnel on the right, you'll find a bunch of other people who also got stuck in the well. It's a really friendly, tight-knit group, and you're going to realize that your life's not so bad after all. There are so many micro-communities of people in the world that bond around various lifelong traumas that you'll never hear about until that specific thing happens to you. So, after reaching out for help and getting some tips, what do? Well, if they give you easy-to-follow actionable advice, do what they tell you to do. Now, if it's an addictive type behavior that's holding you back from doing the right thing, I really like this thing called the tally mark technique. So the tally mark technique is, you have a piece of paper and at the top it says, number of times I have, say, gone to the gym instead of playing video games. And every time you do the right thing, add one tally mark to the paper. If you do the wrong thing, don't add anything. Record your successes, not your failures. And then stick this paper in a prominent location where you feel like it's always watching over you. That's important. The reason why this works is that you'll probably get the first few tally marks pretty easily. New Year's resolutions, I'm going to go turn my life around, and all that. But then comes the grind. Some days, you're not going to want to do the right thing. Not because you're lazy, but because you're human. And at precisely that low motivation moment, that piece of paper is going to stare into your soul and tell you, see, look at how many times you've done the right thing before. You can do it again. This technique has served me extraordinarily well throughout my life. Believe it or not, it even got me through the making of this video. I've wanted to make it for a while, but I kept putting it off. So, ask for help and do what they tell you to do, right? It's always easier said than done. But that's life for you. You might be thinking, that's great and all, but do you have any tips for my specific problem? I've done hundreds of life help sessions, and I'm going to go through some really common problems and ways to deal with them. Do you need money? First, calculate how much runway you have. How long can you live on your current savings? Second, figure out what kind of government assistance you can get, especially if it's a tax issue. Third, take a good hard look at your expenses and your sellable assets and figure out what you can live without. You now generally have two options here. Go out and apply to any job that'll pay you something resembling a living wage so you don't die, or take some time to develop specialized skills and go for a higher paying job. What's available to you is dependent on your runway, how much experience you have in a field, etc. Lots of factors. Are you having trouble getting things done due to anxiety or depression? First, go to a doctor and get a diagnosis. If it's truly a medical problem, attack that first. Get on the right medications. If you don't have the money or can't, or if they've found nothing medically wrong, start by setting a daily schedule. Without a routine, humans are often aimless and unproductive. In this day and age, it's especially problematic. Social media companies spend billions of dollars designing ways to keep you hooked on doom scrolling. Think about it. Do you have a conflict with your boss or a coworker? First, determine if it's HR reportable. Sexual harassment, straight to HR. If not, try to talk it out with the other party. It could be a simple misunderstanding. Happens more often than you think. Evaluate your position in the company. Have you been getting good performance reviews? Is the other person untouchable? Do you have enough internal political capital to force a team transfer? Do you want a relationship? First of all, you need to be emotionally available and willing to put in the work. If you're married to your job and dating is just an appetizer on the side, not going to happen. If you just got out of a traumatic situation and want to dump your problems onto the next person, also not going to happen. If you're lazy and you expect that the right person that ticks all the boxes will just show up and fall head over heels for you, like in your favorite rom-com that you've watched 50 times already, good luck with that. If you're using the apps, work out, take good pictures in interesting locations, and answer your text prompts in a thoughtful and deep connection-oriented way. When texting a match, point out something you really like about the other person. You'd be surprised how often people just don't do this and then wonder why they can't form a connection. It's like they expect to take compliments, but not have to give any. Also, keep asking questions while revealing a bit more about who you are and what you're about in each message. Ask to meet up within 3 to 4 messages. You don't want a pen pal. Outside the apps, build your social circle, especially outside your workplace. This has multiple benefits, one of which is creating an environment where you're much more likely to find a relationship. And if none of that worked, consider changing your location. Your market just might suck for matching people like you, but try the other stuff first. Are you scared of trying something new? Then write down the worst thing that can possibly happen. Write it down. You're not going to die, you can deal with it. And then think about how you'll feel about not doing it for the rest of your life. The regret of, I just wish I had the courage to try that thing. Pretty common deathbed regret. Do you feel like you should be doing better in life? It's usually because you're comparing yourself to one or more peers who presumably started off in a similar situation, but ended up doing way better than you in something. First, they're probably comparing their lives to someone in an even better situation. Even billionaires envy other billionaires' yachts. It truly never ends. I also assign no value to the concept of should be doing better. I visualize life paths like a tree. You and your peers start at the trunk of the tree. It's easy to compare when you're all in the same place and doing the same stuff. Later on, though, you split out in vastly different paths in life. One guy ends up a CEO, another guy's a Tibetan monk, and this guy's dead. On the tree, you're now a leaf. You're defined by the unique twists and turns you took to get there, and comparing yourself to anyone else is pointless. Obviously, this is not the universe of all problems that exist. If this video hasn't solved your problem, and you'd like to talk about it in detail, stop by the Twitch stream and ask me directly. I'd be happy to help. Links in the description below. Have a good one.